Salve! Welcome to this video lesson on Syra Sola. We are going to be starting off the novella today. And here you can see Syra, who lives in the Subura, a kind of rough and tumble district in ancient Rome. As you might be able to tell in the picture, Syra is of African descent. There are many black Romans, some famous. There is Terence, one of the two most famous Roman playwrights. He wrote comic plays, and Apuleius, who wrote the only existing full Latin novel that we have from sort of the Roman imperial period. All right, and let us jump into the story. Syra Sola, Syra alone or lonely Syra, depending on how you want to take Sola here. It can mean a couple different things. This novella is by Lance Piantagini, and we're going to be reading chapter 1. Syra Sola, lonely Syra. Syra est Romana. Syra is Roman. And I will point out that the word Romana could also be written with several other endings like us and and so on. Romana indicates that it agrees with Syra, and she is a girl, so the A ending is a singular feminine ending. More about that as we go on. Syra est Romana. Syra is a Roman. Syra sola est. Syra is alone, or you could perhaps say is lonely. We'll see. In context, it can tell you more. Now notice again, sola ends with an A. That's the feminine ending of the adjective there. And note one thing, Syra est Romana, but Syra sola est. So est means is, but in Latin you don't have to put it in the middle like we do in English, where we say Syra is Roman, Syra is lonely, or is alone. You can put the est at the end, and in fact it could be put at the beginning, although often if you say est Syra Romana, it would mean something like there is a Roman Syra, right? So it's kind of like when we say there is or there are something. All right, let's go on. So again, main thing to point out here is the flexibility of word order in Latin. It's more flexible than English. Syra est Romana sola. Now, I'll pause for a minute, see if you can figure out what that's going to mean on your own. Syra est Romana sola. So maybe you figured out it means Syra is a Roman alone, or a lonely Roman, or something like that, right? And if you want to throw in girl or woman, you could do that. She seems to be, I think, a teenager. So Syra is a lonely Roman girl. Now, I can get the girl part from the fact that the Romana and Sola end with A. That makes them feminine adjectives. Notice her name Syra also ends with an A. That often will indicate that a person is feminine, but there are some male names that also end in A, so it won't always be the case. But it works with adjectives like Romana and Sola. Syra sola Romana est. Syra is a lonely or alone Roman girl. And notice again here, the est has changed to the end instead of in the middle like we had up above, but it still essentially means the same thing. It doesn't substantially change the meaning. Sed Syra amicos habet. But, sed is like but or yet. Syra habet amicos, has friends. Habet is a new verb. Est means is. Habet means has. Now, we'll point out that these singular Latin verbs both end with T, est and habet. So that is a singular ending for a Latin verb. If you want to say he, she, or it is, or has, or loves, or whatever, the verb is going to end with a T. So, sed Syra amicos habet, but Syra has amigos, friends. Now you might, if you don't know anything about Latin yet, if this is your first foray into Latin, you might have no idea about amigos, but you might have some familiarity with English derivatives like amicable, which means friendly, or maybe Spanish derivatives like amigo or amiga, and in the plural amigos or amigas, right? So those come from this word. So amigos is plural for friends. And the os ending also tells us it's a direct object here. So in Latin, I could say Syra has friends by saying Syra amigos habet, as we have here. Or I could say amigos Syra habet. So I could put the friends first. But that would not make them the subject. As long as I spell the word the same way, amigos, it's still going to be the direct object. So I could say Syra amigos habet, amigos Syra habet. I could say amigos habet Syra. I could mix the three words up any way that I want to, and it still means Syra has friends. One last note is that the os ending is a masculine ending, so it's plural and masculine. So it essentially means guy friends, although it could possibly include some girlfriends as well, but at least some guy friends. And let's go on. Amici Syrae sunt multi. The friends of Syra are many. Or you could say Syra's friends are many. Now, notice that Syra's name has changed from Syra to Syrai. When I pronounce the AE, it sounds like a long I in English. Amici Syrae sunt multi. All right? So the friends of Syra are many. So the change of Syra to Syrai is what makes it mean Syra's with an apostrophe S. Or you could say of Syra. So Syra's friends or the friends of Syra are many. Now again, we've got some new things here. Sunt means are. That's the plural of est. And verbs that are plural end with nt in Latin. So that nt on the end of sunt tells us it's plural. The friends of Syra are, sunt, many. Now, multi, even if you've never done any Latin, you probably know words like multiply and things like that, right? Multicolored, so on. These all come from multus in Latin. So multi means many. And notice that the word for friends here has changed its ending again. It's not amicos, which, as I pointed out up above, is the direct object, but it's now amici, the subject. Amici Syrae sunt multi. And notice that the word for many, multi, agrees with the word amici. And when I say agrees, I mean the ending is the same. Amici with a long I, multi with a long I. That's important. And it's just like when we see up above Syra Sola est, and Syra has the A ending and Sola has the A ending, right? That's noun adjective agreement. All right, let's look at our friends. Amici. Sextus. Sextus es amicus Syrae. Sextus is a friend of Syra. All right, so amicus is the singular masculine form as the subject or as a word referring to the subject. Sextus is a friend of Syra, or I could say is Syra's friend. Now notice Sextus also is going to be from African descent there. Rufus amicus Syrae es. Rufus is a friend of Syra. Now Rufus's name means red-haired, so I'm guessing he might have red hair, but not necessarily. He could have gotten the name for some other reason. All right, and then Quintus we see in the picture. Quintus quoque est amicus Syrae. Quintus also is a friend of Syra. Now again, if you look at each one of those, Syrae with the AE ending means of Syra or Syra's with an apostrophe S. Basically, it's showing possession, just like we do with apostrophe S in English. So amicus Syrae means either Syra's friend, and here we mean guy friend, right? Or the friend of Syra, right? And then the quoque is a new word here on this page, and it means also or to, T-O-O. So Quintus too is a friend of Syra, or Quintus is also a friend of Syra. Last on the page, Syra est amica sexti, Rufi et Quinti. Syra is a friend of Sextus, of Rufus, and of Quintus. Or you could say Syra is Sextus's, Rufus's, and Quintus's friend. Now notice that the word for friend now has changed to amica. I want you to think to yourself why amicus, friend, might have changed to amica, friend, here. So hopefully you notice some things like when we were talking about Syra and Sola and Romana, right, with the A ending is feminine. So amica too is the feminine version of friend. So you could translate it as female friend or girlfriend in some contexts, although it doesn't really mean girlfriend here. All right, so Syra is a friend, specifically a female friend of Sextus, of Rufus, and of Quintus. Now think to yourself, what is the importance of that ending, the long I on Sexti, Rufi, Quinti? Notice up above they were Sextus, Rufus, and Quintus. So if it's translated, Syra is Sextus's and Rufus's and Quintus's friend, or the friend of Sextus, of Rufus, and of Quintus, hopefully you're seeing in context that ending, the long I, essentially is the masculine way of showing possession. So we had Syrai with the AE ending to show possession for Syra in the feminine ending, and now we have the masculine possessive ending. This is called a genitive case, and you'll learn more on that as you study more Latin. All right, Syra amicos multos habet. Beginning of the next page, Syra has many friends. And again, amicos is masculine, so many guy friends, and we have 3 of them there on the previous page. Syrae placet habere amicos. To Syra it is pleasing to have friends, or it is pleasing to Syra to have friends. Now we might translate this as something like Syra likes to have friends, but literally placet means it is pleasing, and Syrae here, this time it's not of Syra, but rather to Syra. So this is actually, it looks the same, but it has a little different meaning when we translate it to English. It is pleasing to Syra to have friends. Sed, but, Syrae quoque placet esse solum. It's also pleasing, quoque placet, to Syra to be alone, esse solum. So being alone also pleases Syra. Okay, so esse means to be. That's a new word here. Said we had earlier, meaning but. Syrae placet esse solum. To Syra it is pleasing to be alone. Et Syrae placet esse Romanum. And to Syra it is pleasing to be Roman. Syrae placet esse solum Romanum. To Syra it is pleasing to be a lonely Roman, or a Roman alone. Okay? So here's where we're starting to be sure, I think, that she likes her alone time, right? Syra is one of those people that, she has friends, she likes friends, but she really needs alone time, right? Well, that concludes chapter 1. I hope you learned a few things in this video lesson, a few things about Latin.